On this Thursday, we'll talk a big $100,000 score for a young driver, some interesting entries and driver stuff around high limit at Skagit, what to watch this weekend, and an important player in the sprint car free agency game whose name just keeps coming up. Let's go. It's Thursday, August 28th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. Today's daily show is being supported by our friends at AeroVision. They've got a triple header of Comp Cam's Super Dirt Series races streaming live this weekend. Friday and Saturday is the 11th annual Ron Jenkins Memorial from Lucas Oil Speedway. Those are $7,000 to win and $10,000 to win. I say this all the time. You hear me say this all the time. Wheatland, one of the nicest tracks in the country. And Sunday, action shifts over to Springfield Raceway for a $6,000 to win feature. The Rex McCroskey Memorial will also feature fireworks after that show. Billy Moyer continues to lead the series championship over Morgan Bagley, with BJ Robinson, Eli Ross, and Kyle Beard making up the rest of the top five. Beyond the Dirt Late Model Series regulars, some other drivers expected to race this weekend include Ryan Gustin, Cade Dillard, Dylan McCowan, the Gundakers, and Chris Simpson. All season long, AeroVision is the streaming home for the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series, the All-American Outlaw Modified Series, and Arrowhead Speedway. You can grab an account and tune in over at www.aerovision.live. Let's talk about sprint car free agency and team changes for 2026. There's one player that I think could be a key cog in how things shake out. This guy won 6 sprint car championships in a row, but has been away from the national spotlight all season. And I am, of course, talking about the guy on the screen, crew chief Eric Prutzman. The original plan was for him to lead Casey Kane's 9 team at KKR all season, but we know that went sideways right before the high limit opener at Las Vegas back in March. Prutzman then spent some time helping Doug Hamaker in Pennsylvania, and he's been kind of aiding in Ryan Newton's summer here in the U.S. Newton won a weekly sprint car show at Lernerville here just a few weeks ago and has top 10 runs against the All-Stars and fast. I bring Prutzman up here because his name is one that just kind of keeps popping up in the rumor mill around changes for some of these teams. Prutzman had all of that success at KKR with Brad Sweet, and before his time at KKR was a crew member at Tony Stewart Racing. This is a guy that knows how to run sprint car teams at a high level on the road. World of Outlaws and high limit titles, a Kings Royal win, an Knoxville Nationals win, and so many other victories. If a team was in need of a big-time crew chief, they couldn't do much better than Prutzman. If you want to compete at the top levels of sprint car racing, you really can't do it without some serious know-how in the pits. If you look around at the top teams, all have notable crew chiefs. David Gravel and Cody Jacobs, Buddy Kofoid and Dylan Buswell, Carson Macedo and Philip Dietz, Ricky Warner and Rico Abreu and Ricky Warner, Anthony Macri and Joe Mooney, and on and on. There are not a lot of these guys available, so if Prutzman has any plans to return to the touring life or could be convinced, he's going to be a hot commodity. So where could he go? Well, I think outside of KKR and the established relationships I just mentioned, there are any number of possibilities. If Tony Stewart decides Todd Devnich isn't the guy, could they convince him to go there? Obviously, he has a history at TSR. If Clausen Marshall does indeed decide to start a second team, which is something we've been hearing is a possibility, they would need a boss for that. He could be a guy to go there. Prutzman obviously would be a solid choice, maybe to pair up with Donnie Schatz somewhere, wherever he ends up. I do think there are some intriguing options out there. As things continue to shift and move and develop over the next several weeks, don't sleep on Prutzman and his potential influence on where some of these drivers could go. At Sports Park Raceway last night, Dallon Murty was undeterred by having names like Ryan Gustin and Ricky Thornton Jr. battling him for the $100,000 XR Stock Car Rampage win. His 99X was dominant out front, and at the end, he topped Ryan Gustin by more than 2 seconds. Caden Carter, Jake McBurney, and RTJ were the rest of the top 5. Easily the biggest win of Murty's career. He's had a very strong stretch here lately. If you might remember back a few weeks, he swept the Malvern Bank SLMR weekend. That's tough to say. He had 3 straight wins at Park Jefferson, Shelby County, and US 30. I don't know if Murty has racing plans this weekend, but he will definitely be in the field when the IMCA Super Nationals get started at Boone Speedway on Monday. I believe he's entered in both the stock car and modified classes. He's a 2-time winner of the stock car portion of the Super Nationals back in 2021 and 2022. Murty's double-digit win total this season includes scores in the stock car plus pro and super late models. In sprint car action at BAPS Motor Speedway, Anthony Macri went fourth to the win, throwing a late slider on Danny Dietrich for the dub. Dietrich ended up second with pole sitter Chase Dietz in third. A bit surprised to see that only 17 cars showed up for that one. It was by far the lowest car count of the season for BAPS. The previous low for a sprint car show was way back in March. That was 30 cars. I get that it was a Wednesday, but you would have thought they could have gotten across 20 cars at least. There's a full slate of Central PA racing coming up this weekend with the Grove, Lincoln, and Port all in action. All right, let's jump in and talk some of the other racing coming up this holiday weekend. The Kubota High Limit Sprint Cars finished out their West Coast trip with the 3 days of the Skagit Nationals, with action getting rolling here today. 10,000 win today, 20,000 win Friday, 126,000 to win on Saturday. Flow Racing shared a pre-entry list for the event yesterday with 37 cars listed. It's pretty close to what they had last year. 41 signed in on day one last year. A couple of notes on entries. As we talked about yesterday, Darren Pittman is driving the Jason Myers 14. Gio Scelzi, Justin Sanders, they continued their fill-in roles with the 7BC and 87. This could very likely be the final race weekend for James McFadden in the Tarleton car before he returns to Australia. The end of his time in the Tarleton car was never really set in stone. There was some talk maybe he would run some of the Outlaw races, but I've been told here recently that this could be his last show. And obviously, we talked yesterday about Spencer Basin potentially getting in the Tarleton car, that being an opportunity for him coming up. So watch this space here. Dominic Scelzi also listed in a second Trace Starks car, the 55XL, not his family Scelzi Motorsports 41. Going back to last year, Rico Abreu won 2 of 3 nights, including the finale. He's been really quiet as of late, including 4 finishes outside the top 10 through the High Limit California swing. He'll be looking to turn that around this weekend, and he'll need to if he wants to stay in the thick of this championship battle. Things remain tight right now between Sweets 49, the RSR 87, the CMR 7BC, and then Rico trailing back just a little bit. After Saturday, the High Limit teams will then super truck back across the country to begin the Tuscarora 50. That is Port Royal a week from today. It's a busy weekend at Huset's with 3 sprint car races on tap. Friday is $7,500 to win for their weekly 410 series. And then Saturday and Sunday are World of Outlaws sanctioned. That Friday night show, notable because Ryan Timms is trying to run down Caleb Johnson for the track championship. They're separated by just 12 points. For the Outlaws, this is their last race before they head west to begin their own West Coast stretch. Carson Macedo has won 3 of the last 5 Outlaw races, with Buddy Kofoid and David Grabble grabbing the other 2 wins. Over the last 5 races, Macedo's average finish is an incredible 2.4, while Grabble and Kofoid's is 2.8. Donnie Schott's still seeking his first Outlaw win of 2025, and I wouldn't sleep on Timms with the Outlaws. The Knoxville Nationals champ swept the ASCS shows a week ago, then went to Huset's and won on Sunday. He could be very strong this weekend. Also in action is the USAC Midgets and Silver Crown cars. I almost forgot the Midgets existed. We haven't seen them since July 12th. Kenneth McIntosh leads a tight battle over Justin Grant and Jacob Denny in those standings. They're at Bloomington on Friday and Angel Park on Sunday. In between, the Silver Crown cars hit DuQuoin on Sunday for the Ted Horn 100. Out west, the Louis Vermeil Classic at Calistoga features the NARC and USAC CRA sprint cars. Calistoga hasn't seen racing since 2019, so hopefully people show up and support this one. We talked yesterday about the possibility that Paul Silva brings 2 cars to the race, one for Spencer Basin and potentially a non-wing car for Logan Seavey. DJ Neto, the NARC championship leader, and Ricky Lewis out front with the CRA. Ayrton Jeniton leads a tight Power Eye points battle over Joe B. Miller as they hit 34 Raceway in Lake Ozark this weekend. There's also 3 nights of IRA and All-Stars at Attica and Wayne County. Weekend late model action is headlined by the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series at Lernerville for the Hillbilly 100. The return of Josh Richards to Dirt Late Model competition happens this weekend. Got Joseph Joyner back again with JCN. There's 30,000 win on Saturday and just a few races left for drivers to make their way into that Chase 4. Ricky Thornton Jr., Jonathan Davenport, they are far enough ahead. They are way good. No issues with them getting into that Final 4. While Brandon Shepard and Garrett Alberson have very small outside shots to try and get into this thing over Devin Moran or Hudson O'Neill. If I was a betting man, though, I'd say Moran and O'Neill keep the spots. RTJ swept the Port Royal races last weekend. Davenport took the topless 100 before that. JD won at Lernerville earlier this year, taking the Firecracker 100, so he might be a favorite this weekend. Not to be overshadowed by losing the Hillbilly 100, Tyler County in West Virginia is hosting the Country Roads 100 Friday through Sunday. This one is going to draw Max Blair, the Carpenters, Eddie Carrier Jr., and there will be a Hudson O'Neill appearance on Sunday. He's going to run Kevin Rumley's car in the finale after running at Lernerville. There's also the aforementioned Comp Cams weekend, plus the start of this new Fall Clash series. This one is led by Jim Bernheisel, who also has the Appalachian Mountain Speed Week. They're running 12 races from August 29th through November 1st. They've got stops at Bedford, Sealands Grove, Bridgeport, Action Track USA, that could be wild, Winchester, Potomac, Hagerstown, and Georgetown. All races between $6,000 and $25,000 a win, and $10,000 goes to the series champion. If you want to see a full rundown on your weekend streaming options, which includes tonight's Super Dirt Car Series race at Lebanon Valley, head over to DIRTRACKR.com/watch tonight. That will be a busy page for the next several days. We're going to shut things down right there for the week. Thanks, as always, for tuning in and following along. Hope you guys have a great weekend out there. We'll see you right back here on Sunday.